Okay, you guys, so I'm going to make this video because Dylan is working with a horse and I'm fixing to turn the camera on him and put him on the spot. He loves that. But there is a dun horse here and he's young. I think he's supposed to be 5'2". Did you peek at his teeth? Yeah, I mean, he's just now coming 5. So he's a young, sound, kind of a foundation quarter horse. You know, he's like a ranch bred foundation quarter horse. So, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit because we bought the horse, obviously, as a killer. I mean, he came to my husband through a cow sale, and the old man that sold him had this horse and a gray horse. He had both of them. And he had purchased both of these horses out of a catalog sale. He actually purchased them out of Bowie. And here's the thing. I'm not knocking a sale barn because you have to remember that an auction barn is not responsible for each individual person. So I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, she was on there bashing Bowie. No, that is a good sale. There are lots and lots of sellers that sell at that sale that are reputable, that have wonderful reputations, great horses. There's a lot of great trainers who spend time and choose to sell their horses through public auction instead of private, so they don't have a lot of the drama. But you run into situations like this. This man bought this pair of geldings, and when they were rode through the ring, they were supposed to be well broke, suitable for an older gentleman. So on the end of the and I'm trying to find the right way to say this because it's not the horse's fault. Like Dylan made a very good point. He said, this is a really nice horse, just nobody has worked with him. The thing is you can't really blame the customer that purchased him from the sale that took him back to the sale, because that guy's not a trainer. He's an older gentleman that spent a hefty amount of money looking for a specific thing. And it's okay to be realistic and say, like, this is not what I was looking for. This is not what I thought I was buying. But where the horses get caught up in this mess is, it's not the horse's fault that a human misled a new owner into thinking they were getting something they weren't. Is that how you would, what's the best way to explain it? Like, the horse is not a bad horse. And what I want to reiterate is this is not a horse that should go to slaughter. This is not a horse that is a problematic horse. This is a horse that somebody probably gave a little bit of ace to, climbed on at the sale barn, rode him through the ring, and he's not a bronc, and he's not a bad animal, and he probably didn't really need aced just in that environment. And when they rode him through the ring, an older gentleman was under the impression he was buying a horse that was a finished feedlot horse that had, you know, a year of feedlot training, and you could rope off of him. And honest to God, when you got this horse home, that's just not the truth. I mean, this horse is a nice horse, but he doesn't really even know how to move his feet under saddle. So there's no way I believe somebody was out chasing cattle and roping off of him. But the lesson here is when you buy at public auction, it's buyer beware. I mean, there's really not, because a lot of times they might offer a 24-hour soundness guarantee. Well, this thing is super sound. But they often say they don't offer any guarantee of temperament, or because here's the truth. What one person can do with them, the next person might not be able to. And that's to protect sellers from people that don't know what they're doing and buy a good horse and run it. But in these situations, you have an older man who bought a horse that he felt was very, very valuable. He got it home only to find out that it was just nothing more than a green colt. And people say, how does that happen? Well, the sale ring is not very big. And you can get a horse to do a lot of things in a little bitty tiny. If I set up a little box right here that was 12 by 12, or we'll just even say 20 by 15, Dylan could get those horses to ride back and forth and really show in that small amount of space really well. So I think I buy great horses out of sale barns. I fully stand behind that sale barns have great horses. I just don't always think the humans selling them have the horse's best interest at heart, because that person was just worried about getting the maximum amount of money, but they weren't concerned about the buyer, and they definitely weren't concerned about the welfare of the horse. What happens if the buyer doesn't like the horse? And I think this is a big, pretty, I mean, when he sheds out, this is a big, pretty, gorgeous, very, I mean, this is a very nice horse. He is beautiful. And here's the thing. Watch him. He is trying to do everything asked. So he's not a bad horse. That's the next thing. Let's not say, oh, well, the horse is a problem or the horse is... That's not true. The horse is fantastic. Was he what was advertised? No. But is he a bad horse? Also no. So what we would like to maybe do is if anybody out there would like to, you know, donate a couple of rides and help this horse to be better than what he was when he came here, you guys can always donate some training sessions with Dylan. We allow that. I have lots of people that ask me, how can I help a horse? What can I do to help a horse? Well, this is a young horse that I would certainly hate to see go to slaughter. Because he didn't do it. He didn't do anything wrong to deserve that fate. He is a good, sound, solid, good quality horse. And it's why I save a lot of horses from traders. People go, what do you mean it's a trader? It wasn't going to slaughter. But it's a different kind of abuse to me. Like, it's also not fair to a horse to be passed around. Like, we ended up with him instead of a different horse trader. And so my goal is to try to place him with somebody that can finish him, you know, or that he can leave here and go to a forever situation. What I don't want to see is for him go to, I'm sure that the man that had him at Bowie bought him at a sale. So we'll just say that the breeder probably sold him at a sale, and then somebody bought him and didn't put a lot of time into him and sold him at a sale. And then probably the trader that got him at Bowie. The Coggins is from Amarillo, so we know that he went through Amarillo, Bowie. So he's been through 5 auctions by the time my husband got him. And the thing is he was a monetary possession to 4 of those 5 people. The last person that bought him, at least when they sold him at the cow sale, they stood up and said, I bought these geldings because I thought I was buying finished ranch horses. They're too much horse for what me and the boys, you know, that kind of check cows for me need. We needed some really solid finished horses. We wanted young, solid horses. And I think he said he paid $5,700 for the gray with papers, and he paid like $48,000. So he had $10,000 in 2 horses that they can't even get on them and go ride them. And Dylan will tell you, you can't get on the gray horse and go check your cows on him. That's for damn sure. For sure you're not going to get on the gray. And the thing is, they both had come out of Bowie, and they had come from 2 different sellers. So they had come from 2 different horse traders. Jennifer, he is a 4 just come 5-year-old. This horse is a 4 just come 5-year-old. So what I'm trying to create here, my idea, and I had this idea when I bought this place, but it just became such a will. Everybody got on the will, and it's hard to stop the will and get off. This was my idea. My idea was this, taking even not just horses headed to slaughter, but also horses that need off the trading circuit. If my husband wouldn't have bought him at the cow sale, somebody else would have. And what they would have done is same thing. He probably would have been at Elkhart this Saturday, or he would have been at Okmulgee last Saturday. You know, there's a lot of traders that make sales, and that's what they do, is just go sell to sell, and they can make them ride around in that ring really good and just pawn them off on the next person. So how many sells does a horse go through before their stomach starts to hurt, they have ulcers, before they stop trusting humans, before they, you know, there's just a lot of things that play into that being passed around. How many times does he get passed around before they end up with someone who beats them? And then that leaves some damage that has to be undone. So when I tell you guys that I feel like sometimes we save horses from traders, there's not bad traders on every corner. There's just some bad traders in the world. There's great traders too. There are a lot of horse traders that make a living. Everything on their place is for sale, and they do a wonderful job. And there's a lot of traders that do drugs and stay on the road and swap horses and don't live a very upstanding lifestyle. And they talk to me like shit at Billings and tell me to get the fuck out and let somebody that knows what they're doing do it. And fuck those old duders, they need their heads cut off, and say things like that. And those people don't give two shits about the horses. They're just trying to find the next thing that they can, you know, swap off in somebody's ass and move on to the next one, because they're just trying to make $2,000 or $3,000 and move on. But these horses need off the Ferris wheel. I felt like that yesterday. I needed off the Ferris wheel. I needed off the Ferris wheel. And this is just what I'm trying to reiterate. What I'm trying to create here is something very different from, and my husband, it's not that he isn't in agreement with it. It's just that he's not interested. I mean, my husband thinks livestock are, you know, I mean, I'm married to somebody that it's about the money. Like, if you bought it for $500, sell it for $600 and move on to the next one. If you buy it for $2,000, sell it for $2,500. The problem with this horse is he honestly needs off the Ferris wheel and some work. Dylan has made vast improvement when he couldn't get on and off of him yesterday. So today yeah, he's beautiful. Hi. He said, I don't know you. He said, I don't know you, but he's like, oh, my feet have been moving and I'm tired because I'm a fat boy. I love horses that will introduce themselves. That just makes my heart happy. Like, you know, when you stick your hand out, some will introduce themselves. Yeah, and some won't. And I can always tell a good boy, when you put your hand up, they'll introduce themselves, which means it's because they trust you once you do that. Because a horse's most sensitive part of their body is their nose. So a lot of horses will throw their head up or back away because they do not want you to touch their nose. They do not want that. They are like, no way. Like, absolutely no way, don't touch my nose. He's very beautiful. He did look like an elephant at the circus, though, when he was on the bridge. That was super funny. But this horse doesn't need to go. He's been through at least 5, maybe 6 sell barns. He does not need to go through another sell barn. He needs to be worked with. He needs for us as a tribe to pitch in and let's pay it forward a little bit and get some days with Dylan paid for so that he can definitely get some training. I think that's great. Dylan does a great job. I'm telling you, he has done so much work with this horse. This is day 2. And yesterday, I would have probably been a little bit scared to video yesterday because I think I probably should have, so people can see what just 2 days of working with an animal with kindness can do. Does that make sense? Because yesterday, there wouldn't be a person watching this video want to buy him. Bear! Get out of the video. Nobody wants doggy porno in the background, buddy. Idiot. Skeet, move. He said, listen, buddy, we already did this today once, and I don't feel like it's a necessary thing to continue. We can. He's like, look. Yep, once Dylan starts with him, he doesn't let him not. He doesn't take the short road. He's been on the bridge already, but I will tell you that he did look like an elephant because he stepped on it this way and he had all of his feet in the middle of it. And he looked like a big elephant on a little tiny. But this is a big difference from yesterday. And another day and another day. And the next thing you know. But what I have found with a lot of horse traders is they bank on finding horses that are already broke. Some of them, you know, so that they can just turn around and resell them. There's very few true horse trainers left out there. He went from being an elephant to an inventor.
Yeah, I was going to say full jump horse.
There used to be a lot of really good traders that would buy a horse like this and put a lot of time in them and take them back to the sell with 60 or 90 days. And the problem is that's not where the money is. By the time you ride a horse for 60 or 90 days and do the hard work, guess what? The profit got ate up for the most part. So that's why if we're going to do it here, we have to band together as a tribe and just make the decision that we want to collectively pitch in. How many rides can we pitch in and get for this horse? And that way, hopefully one of my customers will see the value in him. And after a couple of videos, be like, you know what? I'm comfortable enough that that's the horse for me. He is fantastic. I'm telling you. We're going to be able to find you a girlfriend off these videos. I think we're selling you more than we are the... Dylan does give lots of pets, but you have to remember he's a girl dad. So I think once you have a daughter, I'll tell you, Tinley, Jacob is a little bit softer. You can't help it, can you? You learn positive reinforcement real fast. Marley, I'm going to tell you, I'll tell a little story on Marley and Tinley. Hopefully Dylan doesn't mind. We took him to the jump park, and my daughter is 3 and 2 foot tall, and his daughter is 7 and maybe 3 foot tall. And these 2 little blonde brats are running around there just bossing. And anyway, they were in the 8 and under playpen, and some teenager was up on the top level, and it was a girl and a guy, and they were hiding in the kids' park because they were smooching. You know, they were probably what, 12 maybe?
Yeah,
They were 12. They were kids too. And Marley comes down, and the next thing we know, this little guy comes running out, and he is like, sir, your daughter. He was like, your daughter is up there telling me. Marley was like, you are not 8 years old. You are not supposed to be up here. And of course, Tinley right behind her. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, they are mine. They are mine. And then there's Dylan, and he's like, Jesus, what's wrong with women? Yep. That was so funny, though, wasn't it? That kid, he comes shooting out of there. Sir! Anyway, it got a little, it regressed from there, the situation. But that was the funniest part, is they thought they were going to come down and, like, tell on Marley and Tinley for bossing them. And, of course, then Dylan starts to be like, well, and I'm like, shh. First of all, you're not supposed to be up there to begin with, so they are not wrong. And he's like, oh, God. Just what Marley and Tinley need is encouragement. Yeah, this is a fantastic horse. Look at everything this horse has absolutely. Do you hobble train? You don't love it. I have never hobble trained a horse, so it scares me, just the thought of it, because I worry and I wonder. I know a lot of people do. It's something that.
at first, but I mean, it's all right. I haven't done it a whole lot.
But you have done it.
Yeah.
I wondered. I mean, I could see.
I had a horse that kicked through my trailer. It was my mare, and I had to
Hobble her when you hauled her.
front and back leg just to haul her anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I've watched a lot of videos on it recently, like the art of hobbling, and it's like all Vanquero style, about how, like, so if your horse ever gets in a bind, they don't panic. They've learned to have their legs tethered, and I see a lot of great reasoning behind it, if that makes sense. But yeah, he's pretty cool. He means no harm. Now the gray horse is a little different storyline, because I think the gray horse has ended up with 1 or 2 traders that have beat him. So this horse at least just kind of went from some people that were peddling him off fast just to get rid of him. He's been through a lot, though, like 5 or 6 sales. And there's no reason why somebody couldn't have stopped that, put a little time into him, and found him a forever situation.
He's too good of a horse.
He is way too good of a horse. But the gray horse, it's not that the gray horse is not too good of a horse. The gray horse has been beat. Somebody's hemmed that horse up and hurt him. Yep. He does. Look at him. He's like, all right, you guys. Well, this is the done horse. We need to name him. You gonna name him?
Yeah.
Who are you gonna name him? Okay. We're gonna give Dylan a day to think about it. Yeah. Yeah. People are trying to trade me livestock for you. I've got a pony offer. Somebody's willing to give me a pony.
A pony? That's all I'm worth.
When somebody said that, somebody was like, well, if that's all we're offering, like, I think I can up you. Don't tell Jess anything about goats. She'd be willing to trade Dylan off for some goats. She loves them. He is a fantastic horse, and I'm glad that so many of you guys recognize the value in a horse that wants to please. The buckskin, holy shit, that horse just will do anything. He'll just melt like butter. He is sorry. But that horse, that old lady, I noticed the note. And the Coggins were from October.
She put a lot of time into him.
No, I think she sold him in October, and I think traders have had him since then.
Oh, damn.
I think that's why when you first go to catch him, and so I would have never thought that horse was that gentle. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People can screw shit up by just not caring. It doesn't mean that everything she said wasn't true. It just means that that note and that Coggins are probably when he sold at Billings in October. And somebody probably bought him and probably took him to Worland or some sales up there and didn't get enough and took him back to Billings in February. I mean, in January. And he wasn't incredibly cheap, but I mean, that's a valuable high-end sucker.
Yeah, this one will be too.
Yes, this one will be too. Yep. And I mean, this horse has great conformation. And he's non-problematic. But he does ground tie. He just needs a little bit more work, you know, to just be a solid. His biggest thing is when you first catch him and go to work with him, he's scared of you. And he might feed off the gray, yes. Not only that,
because
but
once you separate him away, he's fine.
Yeah.
So I was gonna.
Yeah, you can put him in a run right here. The ones that you're gonna work with every day, if you want to stack them right here, so you can just walk in and catch them, that's easier than having to. Yeah. Yep. All right, you guys. Well, on to the next one. I really like